Hi everyone. Hi Beck for those who came back after the very first talk. First thing first, I would like to thank Art for All and 11001 Gallery for the opportunity to to engage those talks. I would like also to extend my thanks to ESMOD, as we're in a period in which the art scene and cultural development is getting bigger and bigger, not only in the UAE but in the region. Benefiting from the support from such companies as ESMOD is a huge honor, and we're extremely grateful to organize this event in such an iconic spot in Dubai, which is Dubai Mall. So obviously, as you may know, this talk will deal with the relation between art and fashion, and I'm tremendously delighted to have as co-speaker Denis Ravizza, who is the CEO and co-founder of ESMOD Dubai. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Thank you very much, Art for All, and thank you, Mr. Youness, to have invited me for this art and fashion related talk. Yes, I am the co-founder and the CEO of ESMOD Dubai, which is the only fashion institute in the GCC. We established ourselves in Academic City back in 2006, so it's going to be 20 years now, and we teach fashion and only fashion. And we shape the leaders of the fashion industry in the entire Middle East.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us more about your personal experience, your background? I'm sure that most people attending in here are fashion amateurs. I'm sure they will be excited to know more about your background.
Well, I started at a very young age. I was lucky to sound.
Seems that it. Let's just switch maybe chairs, if you may. Let's just switch chairs. Hello.
Oh, really?
Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I was saying I started at a very young age by being passionate by typography and graphic design, and which led me to do a couple of different types of degrees, and including art direction and creative direction. And at the age of 21 years old, I was spotted by one of the largest headhunter in America, and I was hired as the creative director of Esprit in San Francisco to manage about 20 different designers and 20 different collections there. And starting from there, I ended up in fashion, working for Calvin Klein, Saint Laurent, Dior, Jean-Paul Gaultier, and some designers in Japan. And after about a good 30 years of experience in this field, me and my wife, Miss Tamara, who is actually in the audience right there, we decided to give back. And we started back in 2006 a fashion university in Dubai. And since then, we've had about, I think, around 2,000 alumni, graduates, and we've contributed to the fashion economy of the UAE by having about around 60 different brands established by our graduates. And we do that by passion, because you have to be passionate, when you work in fashion and art as well, actually.
And if you're really passionate, obviously you will have to study at ESMOD Dubai. So that could be the conclusion of this introduction. Thank you very much, Denis. Obviously I'm not as experienced in fashion as Denis in here. For those of you who already came, you guys already know, but I am a curator, exhibition designer. I am specialized in exhibition design, curation, cultural mediation. I've partnered with among the most important cultural institutions in Paris and in France, notably at Centre Pompidou, Château Lacoste, in which I had the honor to be involved in a Louis Bourgeois retrospective in Tokyo based on the private collections of Chateau Lacoste. And when it comes to my very young experience in fashion, I cannot tell much about it, but I'm working on a Gianni Versace retrospective, hopefully in Dubai. First it will be in China, but maybe the inauguration, by the way, of Dubai Mall Exhibition Center will, maybe it could be, I don't know, potential venue. Let's see. So if I can just tell you about how I thought this talk. So pretty much same thing for the first talk about the representation of women in modern and contemporary art. When I was confronted to this exhibition and the pieces and the artists that are here exhibited, when I was asked to design talks, I was very puzzled. I was very much lost in the beginning because we're facing some artists, who do not have a lot of common points. They're very unique in their style, in their aesthetic, in their period, in their society. It was quite hard for me to find, a theme that would basically gather them all. And then I just realized all of those artists tremendously inspired front row fashion designers. And of course, I realized it throughout my research. And when I collaborated with Denis and when he sent me his references and his examples, etc., I was definitely convinced of how gripping the theme was. And so basically, throughout this talk, I wanted to talk about the influence of modern and contemporary artists, not on a chronological basis, but almost. So basically, I really want us to explore what has been done a few decades ago until now. And Denis, by the way, will grace us with a lot of examples of what's currently visible, not only in the established fashion scene, but also among emerging artists at ESMOD Dubai, notably. So it's not going to be as articulate as the first talk because I will have to go back and forth to change slides, but it's fine. But just like many other themes and elements, meaning that art, just like the environment, international culture, heritage, has always been a source of inspiration for fashion designers, and I dare to affirm, at any time, at any era. What better illustration, by the way, to talk about it with those pieces. So the piece in the middle is made, I believe, by Moschino, and those two dresses are made by Versace in the 90s, which are, by the way, part of the pieces which will be exhibited in the Gianni Versace exhibition that I'm currently curating. That's a great work. That's a great collaboration and synergies. Thank you, Denis. And so, basically, while illustrating the fact that art is a source of inspiration, just like any other element, I wanted to illustrate this fact with this dress, for example, or should I say the entire collection of Georges Hobeika for the Spring-Summer collection in 2020 that he introduced at Paris Fashion Week. So what is very interesting in this collection is that Georges made an entire collection based on his travels, and most specifically in Bahr al-Abid al-Mutawassit, in the Mediterranean Sea, with this piece, which is inspired by one of his journeys in Sardinia. So in here, we can perfectly distinguish the floors proper to this region with this very nice blue color that evokes the Mediterranean Sea, but also the blue sky, right, of Sardinia and the Mediterranean Sea. Obviously, we cannot talk about the influence of art and fashion without talking about Yves Saint Laurent. And Also, when it comes to showing that even the environment and architecture and cities can influence fashion, I believe Yves Saint Laurent might be the most gripping example, in the sense that before, and now I speak under the authority of a fashion expert, before he discovered Morocco in 1966, his palette was pretty much only black. I mean, at this time, Yves Saint Laurent was very much famous for his black designs. And he even said himself in his notes that he got introduced to color while discovering Morocco. Let me know if I scream, by the way, because I do not know if I'm being heard. Got it. Thank God. Understood? Alhamdulillah. And so, even though Yves Saint Laurent was born and raised in Algeria, he really digged into North African culture while discovering Morocco. So travels, journeys, just like art, basically inspire fashion designers. Do you have any comments, my dear Denis, regarding...
No, you're totally right. You are the expert right now.
Oh la la. You're going to make me blush. Also, so for the next presentations, for the next cases, I also wanted to show you how in here artists presented in here tremendously influenced fashion. So Salvador Dali, apart from his very mind-bended, puzzled pieces, obviously dealing with surrealism, he was very much linked to the fashion world. He had muses just like Amandelier, that he introduced to Paco Rabanne, that he collaborated with for a long time. And he is mostly known in the fashion world for his relation with Elsa Schiaparelli and his collaboration with Schiaparelli. And I think that there's no better person to give us more details about it than Denis. Can you give us some insights about...
Schiaparelli was a very creative person, an artist herself, and she was, I believe, as all the design thinkers and creators, very open-minded and geared toward art. And what better than having Salvador Dali as a close relation and to be inspired by his surrealism work. And she came up with the most incredible creation for the time, which were, quote unquote, quite shocking. And she even created a perfume, actually, which was called Shocking. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she was doing and working her designs very much like what we do today in fashion, where, on the top level of fashion, whether it's haute couture or the creators, where we actually do not design just garments. She was looking at things not for what they are. I mean by this that when at that level, when we design, we get inspired by everything and everything else but fashion. And what we see, let's say, as a door handle or as a building is not a door handle and is not a building. It's actually something that can inspire us for a shape, a volume, a structure, a texture, and color sometimes. And Schiaparelli, as you can see here, has been using, either this Omar that she integrated either as jewelry or within the garments, but she also, and you'll see it, I think, in the next slide, maybe if we have it. Look at the hat. When I say that don't look at things for what they are, a shoe is not a shoe. A shoe can be whatever a creator wants it to be. And that hat is part of the history of fashion. It's just, it marked the history, and it opens up areas of creativity and design thinking in a very different way. And this is where artists and fashion designers are really closely interrelated in the way they think. It's about emotion, it's about thinking differently, it's about shocking us, and it's about seeing the world in a different way. I mean, isn't that what is art all about?
Absolutely. I think that even what we can say is that art is somehow necessary to challenge our expectations and to challenge our the way we see fashion. Just like you perfectly said, I mean, this very mind-bending hat, normally, who would have had the idea of designing a shoe hat with Salvador Dali?
Yeah.
And so it really shows that artists can enrich creativity in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Artists write stories, create stories, emotions, depending on their culture and within the time period in which they are. And us fashion designers, we do the same. We don't make garments for people to actually just wear them. A garment is not only functional and utilitarian. We write stories like a writer would write a book, but the collections and the design of the garments which you write are telling stories, and the stories that we write depend on what we believe, what we are for, what we are against. Vivienne Westwood, for example, it's a good example. She is very much into eco-friendly, saving the planet, and even being extremely strongly going toward, protesting that. We write messages, but we tell our stories and our messages through garments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, in a way, I think we can even say that art is essential in the sense that it allows us to renew our vision of fashion and our vision of creativity.
Yeah, I mean art.
Exactly.
Art is absolutely essential in everybody's life. If there were no artists, I think our life would be pretty sad.
I think I'll even be confident that in saying that fashion schools also offer artistic education to their students. I mean, I believe it's kind of the norm across fashion schools in the world.
Yeah, true. Yeah. It's an absolute necessity. Art is one of the sources of inspiration. When you are a designer, you are like the conductor of an orchestra. So at the very beginning, when you are a student in a fashion school, like in a school for where you will be learning music, for example, or an instrument. Let's say you want your life to become the one of a conductor, music conductor. So when you are in a fashion school, you first learn how to conduct maybe 2 instruments, and then as you progress, you're going to conduct an entire orchestra. Same in fashion. At the beginning, you get inspired by one source, and then you mix another source, 5, 6, 7 different sources. So you're actually orchestrating all of these sources together in order to level them and create the story that you want. And this is where fashion is absolutely incredible, because you are the conductor, you create your own rules, you are the one who can break your rules, and you can literally get inspired by a pair of shoes from the 19th century, by buildings of Haussmann in Paris, and then punk music. So you can literally play with things that have nothing to do together, and you put stories and elements together, and you create what you want to say. Yeah.
Which allows me, by the way, to transition to the next reference. I believe. Thank you. I believe that because we were talking about the absolute necessity to benefit from artists and other forms of storytelling to create fashion. Andy Warhol has definitely been among the artists who brought a lot into fashion, in the sense that he, as you may know, Andy Warhol has been working on very common objects, Campbell soups, Coca-Cola bottles.
Yeah, consumer products.
Consumer society products, exactly. And he turned them fashionable. And what I would like to say about Andy Warhol is that his links to fashion are even more profound, because even before being an established artist
Illustrator.
and constructing and paving the way of pop art, he used to be a fashion illustrator.
Yes.
So once he graduated from Pittsburgh University, he started to be a fashion illustrator as soon as he came in New York. I believe in I believe it was in the 30s, 40s. He directly started to collaborate for Harper's Bazaar and Vogue US. He also collaborated, by the way, with Tiffany & Co. He designed postcards. He also designed jewelry, which have never been produced, by the way. But he designed postcards that are worth right now £6,000 or something, which is still a thing. And so that what's very interesting as well is that he also made celebrities and iconic faces from the art and entertainment industry as fashionable. I mean, how many times have we seen T-shirts with Marilyn Monroe portraits made by Andy Warhol? Look at those, obviously. Versace dress featuring the face of Marilyn Monroe. That's for another budget, obviously. But and look at this also almost unwearable Moschino Campbell soup dress. If I'm not mistaken, is it Inès de la Fressange?
This is Inès de la Fressange.
It is Inès de la Fressange. Obviously, if only French models can wear it.
One of the muse of Chanel. Yes.
Exactly, one of the muse of Karl Lagerfeld.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I believe Andy Warhol is another faithful example of what we've been talking about these past few minutes. Do you mind? Sorry. So for Yves Saint Laurent, what's very interesting with Yves Saint Laurent is that he is part of those fashion designers who were extremely cultured. I mean, Yves Saint Laurent, obviously, among his friends, had so many artists.
Yep.
He was obsessed with contemporary art. He very often visited cultural institutions across Paris. So for him, art was not only a source of inspiration, it was a hobby. I mean, vulgarly speaking, he loved art as a hobby. And so I would even say that in his designs, the influence of art is even more organic, because he fruitfully was interested in art, and he was surrounded by artists even.
Yeah, and he was an immense art collector.
With Pierre
Berger. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have collected those two pictures from a friend of mine who was involved with those two exhibitions at Centre Pompidou. So would you mind telling us more about this tailleur, this top inspired by Picasso?
Well, it's, I mean, if you see it quite close, when you want to be inspired by the artwork of an artist, or in occurrence by Picasso, what you look at initially, you don't look into the details, but you look at the shape itself and the volume, and this shape actually define the types of cuts and angles and proportions that you are going to use within the construction of garment. And this is literally you can this is almost a literal representation of the painting. But if you look at the color, Picasso, very geometrical in his constructions, even though sometimes it was extremely abstract. But when you see the geometry, for example, the triangles that you can see in the areas there are very well represented into the jacket itself. Of course, the jacket, we need to remember that in that context of Yves Saint Laurent, who was a haute couture designer, probably considered as some kind of a modern creator for his own time, but we could not see Saint Laurent today and label Yves Saint Laurent as a creator, which is a creator today is somebody who is way more provocative into their designs. But at the end of the day, fashion is a business, and you need to sell your garments. So obviously, anybody who can afford it can buy that jacket, even though it was inspired by an artist. But at the end of the day, it's a jacket. The jacket is structured, for the body, close to the body. You can wear it with almost anything, even like a pair of jeans today. But you can literally see the relation between the shapes which are depicted in the painting and the garment itself. Yeah.
And when it comes to the relations with art and fashion, there's another very gripping reference that you got that I'm going to show in a minute.
This is a beautiful story. You could actually, if you find one of the movies about Yves Saint Laurent, you will see, what happened that night. And it's, when before designing, we are like sponges, and we, as I said, we get inspired by anything but fashion. And we collect lots of things. When your eye stops on something for a second and you don't know why you stopped it, that very second is extremely precious because your brain tells you something which you don't know yet why. And so we collect images, we take photos of anything that, our eyes get stuck on. And these images, we put them together in some type of mood boards. And in our design office, we've got walls where we pin stuff. And what we pin, represents what we call our personal universe. These are the things that we are fond of, interested by. We don't know yet why. But one day we know that they will speak to us. And that evening, Yves Saint Laurent, who was under a lot of pressure to come up with a concept, a theme for his collection, who was working at his desk, and we have ups and downs when we design. Sometimes we have good days, and sometimes we have bad days. Good days, ideas are flowing, and sometimes we have bad days and ideas don't flow. And one of the techniques that we learn along the way with many years of experience, we don't push it. We kind of, stand up and go, and maybe tomorrow will be a better day. And that evening, actually, Yves Saint Laurent stood up, turned back to his wall, where, he had lots of images, like we all do, and he had a photo of that painting, which is a painting by Mondrian. And bam! Sat down, drew his usual silhouette, and actually used the graphic elements of the painting of Mondrian and came up with an entire collection which made a worldwide success, fame, fortune, you name it. This is the pure example of how fashion and art are related, between art and actually business, because fashion is a business. You need to sell garments, and it works. And today these pieces are in museum. They are a reference in the history of fashion.
Exactly. I think the other moral we can affirm for sure is that art helps you to cope with your depression, as apparently Yves Saint Laurent was extremely depressed while trying to find some source of information.
Yeah.
So that's kind of lovely as well. I think you might have another reference, yes, with Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah. When I said that we get inspired by anything, I mean, one of the advices that we tell students at ESMOD Dubai, when you travel, the very first thing you need to go to are places which are historical, whether they are museums or it can be churches or whatever. But you need to feel and see what is the DNA of the country where you are. And this is again, the pure example. This is Emperor Constantine, and this, glass work, ceramic.
Ceramics,
is depicted, in a place in a church in Istanbul. And look on the right, Dolce & Gabbana, inspiration by this piece of art. So here it's very much straightforward. Photo, textile printed, and then collections being made. So there you are in with garments which are rather Dolce Gabbana-like, very fluid, very simple, no particular creativity or designs within the cuts or the garments. But what makes it very Dolce Gabbana are the colors standing out and everything. Yeah.
Dolce & Gabbana, who are, by the way, huge collectors as well. And this is an even more spectacular example of how art can influence fashion. What I really also wanted to comment concerning the Mondrian dress, I have read an article, I think it was on the French Vogue, which said that basically the meeting between art and fashion in the 60s, 70s in France, notably in French fashion, allowed women to be emancipated, to be even more free. We've seen it with those Mondrian dresses, the
lengths?
the skirt, sorry.
The skirt, yeah.
The dresses,
Yeah.
they stop on top of the of the knee.
Yeah.
And it was in a period of time, it was end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s, where major fashion designers such as Gabrielle Chanel were complaining about this new trend of revealing the knees. And what's interesting is that art and fashion can have this social mission as well to align with the evolution of society. And I think that it reflects also something interesting in the way we perceived women in society, women in fashion. But
it's not only the way fashion and the trends and its evolution is totally related to the world we live in. The way the garments and how we wear garments, it's really about the moment that we live in. I'll give you a couple examples. When there was a financial crisis right after the 80s, which was extremely booming, 80s, for example, it was the time of women empowerment, where the economy, the worldwide was extremely positive. Women, had their own company. They were gaining positions in their company like CEO, etc. And this empowerment in fashion was translated by actually very large shoulders and also wearing men's jackets and suits. So whenever, that's one of the tips I'm giving you, whenever you see anyone, particularly women, wearing jackets with shoulder pads under, which are very squarish, this comes from the 80s. Women empowerment. I want to look like a man. After that, there was a financial crisis. The oil went down, etc. The population worldwide was very cautious about how they would, spend their money. And they were actually not spending much, spending more time at home, saving until this crisis would actually, stop. The garments totally changed. They became comfortable because they were staying at home. Even the interior design of the furniture at the time became more cocoon, rounded and comfortable. This is why sportswear and joggings came into place in the society. And when people started to come out of their home, they had sneakers, they had joggings, comfort, because they were just coming out. Look, recently, this horrible period that we went through with COVID and lockdown. Did you dress up with high heels, or like we beautifully are dressed today, when you were staying at home?
Oh, I did.
Well,
don't put me into that.
You might be an exception. But people were staying in pajamas, okay, slippers. Didn't you notice that after COVID there was a trend that was actually done by, you name it, Chanel, Vuitton, etc., where slippers became actually flip-flops that you could see outside. Comes from there. Everything that changes in fashion has a relation with society, financial crisis.
Exactly.
Back then in the history, you know, way back then, it was because of invasions. What is design has a relation with what we live and what we go through. Totally. 60s, shirts remain quite, close to the body, but skirts became shorter. Why? Because in the 60s, it was a revolution. You know, women had gained their freedom and they wanted to get more. So skirts became shorter and shorter. There was even in London a protest of, teenage up to young ladies who were protesting, and they had, billboards saying, Christian Dior, stop your stupid skirts because they are too long. Go short. It was the 60s.
So, I mean, in a way, any disciplinary intermingles when it comes to analyzing any phenomenon, fashion phenomenon, economical. You always have to have this multidisciplinary approach at the end of the day.
You've got to have an eye on everything.
Exactly.
On everything that moves. Until the 40s, haute couture was dictating what fashion was. Nowadays, the pyramid is reversed. What I mean by the pyramid is that if you look at how fashion is constructed, on top of the pyramid you have haute couture, down you have you and I. What we wear, what's in the street. Back then, haute couture was dictating. Today, the pyramid is reversed. What we do in haute couture, or the creators, we do not dictate. We look at the street. We look at what's coming out from the street and what people wear. And we base our design decisions, plus inspiration and etc., but based on what the street is doing. Why do you think you can buy a pair of sneakers at Chanel?
Because their sales. There's also another economical reality, I believe, is that most big fashion houses, fashion names, belong to conglomerate of company.
Yeah.
And so obviously they have sales, goals. They have
to maintain.
Yeah. And so that's why, a lot of people will tell you that fashion was better before. Why not? But it's still also related to all of that.
You've got to sell. And if you do see sneakers, if you can buy a pair of sneakers at Dior, Chanel, etc., it's because the street today dictates what fashion is. But also, the clients of these high street luxury brand are actually aging. So they've got to replace this aging population of consumers, which are their consumers, and they've got to replace them by the young generation. And what better idea to replace them or get them to get seduced by what they do is to actually adapt the garments which they wear already.
Exactly.
It's business.
It is. It is. I assume. Apart from art, because I mean, we can also connect art with architecture. You also wanted to talk about the influence of architecture in fashion, as it is skyrocketing right now, most specifically with emerged faces nowadays among fashion designers. What about Hassan Chalayan and this design that you decided to choose? Yeah,
this is actually one of the slides which I show to our students, and when I also do masterclass of history in fashion, to audiences internationally. And this is pretty straightforward, right? You don't look at a building for what it is. This is not a building. And that's how we work.
So once again, we're thanks to art and architecture, we're pushing the limits.
Absolutely.
Of creativity.
Architects probably get their inspiration from nature. Probably this architecture maybe by the architect himself probably came from, was it, stones or precious stones or diamonds or rocks or organic, system in the, underwater or whatever. So architecture works the same. And what's interesting here is that you have an inspiration of an architect, which comes up with an interesting structure on top of an historical, facade in the bottom. And then you've got Hussein Chalayan, who actually looks at this building and creates that piece. So it's totally interrelated. And probably if there was art painted on top of this facade, probably he would have commissioned an artist to work with him and maybe paint or do color blocks on this garment.
So for the next reference, I believe... Oh, yes, sorry. So for the section 2, I mean, now that we've been talking about, now that we've been proving, I hope, the influence of art and fashion in the past decades, I thought it would have been interesting to introduce the what's going on right now in the industry. So what can we see in the industry nowadays in this, intermingling thing of art and fashion? So for this record, I mean, before even digging into the two examples, and once again, I'm speaking under the authority of a connoisseur, but I believe that fashion houses have noticed that every time they collaborate with an artist, the sales are here.
Go up.
Sales are in the building.
Yeah.
And I remember, so I was in Paris when they've had their last collaboration with Yayoi Kusama, the Champs-Élysées, the Louis Vuitton, the Champs-Élysées was packed with Japanese, Chinese, American tourists in the queue, eager to buy, even their least favorite piece from this collaboration. So, and I dare to believe that those brands, those fashion houses, they're not attracting, they're not specifically, I don't believe that, they're not specifically attracting art passionates, art fans, but rather people who are looking for exclusivity. This feeling of, I have something that's very unique, that's temporary. And art has, throughout the decades, allowed fashion designers to propose their clientele something extremely unique. And I feel like there is a trend that has been going on with those collabs with artists and fashion houses. It's this trend of collecting. For example, in this context, on the occasion of this collaboration, many people collected many bags from this collaboration. And the very first one a few years ago with the Yayoi Kusama, I believe in the mid 2010. So it allows them to renew so the success of sales, obviously. Yep. But also it allows them to renew with this collecting thing. We do not buy fashion to only, dress up a little, but also to have some prized possessions. Technically speaking, just like collecting art, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to also mention, since, when we are in the GCC, I wanted to talk about this collaboration and this program that the Dior Maison has. You've been maybe noticing it, the iconic Lady Dior, which was firstly designed for Lady Diana, has been designed by so many emerging artists these past 10 years. And very recently, a month ago, has been unleashed this collaboration of this Kuwaiti artist with the Maison. You may know that in the region, there's a whole history and heritage about, pearls and men, fishing, oysters and, that kind of thing. And what's very interesting is that this Kuwaiti artist has celebrated this heritage through her design, which is present, if you may, in the next page. I put another a closer look. There you go, of the bag itself, and also when it comes to realizing how big those collaborations are with those maisons and those artists. Of course, we noticed, the range of products that they produced. I'm not sure, but I think the last collaboration with Louis Vuitton and Yayoi Kusama, it was 300 or 400 pieces, which is huge. But also, I want to talk about branding. Those companies, to promote those collaborations, they install those huge decorations onto their historic buildings. And to do so, they also work in coordination with the mayor of Paris, because of course there are a lot of conditions when it comes to health and safety, whatever. So this is so big. Those collaborations with artists are so big that they invest energy and money to do such a thing. So this is here the building. The Louis Vuitton store at Champs-Élysées. So, just to show you how important those collaborations have been going on. Do you have any comment regarding that?
Well, I will. I'll just mention, my appreciation about this type of collaboration, really related to art, because actually, who knows this artist?
Exactly.
Who knows her?
Exactly.
If you're not a collector,
Well,
if
bravo,
you're not an
Bravo.
an artist, if you don't have an art culture, how would you know what she does? And of course, again, these items have to sell. But what I like about this collaboration is that fashion and brands, when they can do it, are actually making us discover artists that we didn't know. And that's a kind of a diffusion, and they are cultivating the vast majority of people, even people who do not shop at Vuitton.
Exactly.
You discover a new artist.
They are
And
fostering art
who
education.
can do that today, making artists being discovered to the population other than fashion brands? If you want to discover new artists, a gallery will do, or a museum will do, maybe. But will you go to the museum? Maybe, maybe not. But, fashion is everywhere. Consumers are everywhere. And this is also their mission. And they have understood it very well because it's profitable. But I'm very positive about this collaboration. They are making us more cultured when they collaborate with artists.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it also nourishes cultural institutions because, years and decades
Yes.
after,
Yeah.
cultural institutions such as museums organize
Yeah.
retrospective
Yes.
of artists featuring their pieces, retrospective of fashion designers. And they also curate, they also, add in the exhibition design pieces in collaboration with artists. So
Yeah.
it really helps to foster art education.
Yeah. Art makes fashion sell.
Exactly. We
And
cannot,
probably vice versa,
of course, we
in a
cannot
way.
deny the sales opportunity because just like we said before, those maisons belong to those top, companies that possesses among the most prestigious
They've
fashion
got
houses.
shareholders.
Exactly. They're shareholders, so
Yeah.
they have to make the money. I believe you had other,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, what you see here is three pieces from a full collection of one of our graduates. Her name is Shamal Falassi. She's from the UAE. She was graduated last June. And she has been using one source of inspiration, but not only one, which is Yayoi Kusama. She also used inspiration from a interior design group which was based in America, which was the Memphis group. They were very popular in the 80s. And also one architect, which is mentioned here, Van Ellen. And all of that mixed together created this beautiful, this beautiful collection. So it's really
it is
a connection.
I mean, it really shows what the levels of inspiration and creativity we can have when being cultured and interested in art. I'm very blind right now, but I feel like apart from Yayoi Kusama, I feel like there's also an influence of up art, notably Victor Vasarely.
Exactly, Vasarely, pop art.
Yes, definitely.
I was mentioning, this when you are designing, you are the conductor of your orchestra.
Definitely.
And you are orchestrating the different inspirations which you manage to put together. Which one do you want to put forward or not, in the background, etc. You manipulate all of these elements to find an equilibrium visual which is suitable to the story you want to say and to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you quote a few other examples from your students?
Yeah, we have artwork of Picasso here, and here you've got, so this is also one of our graduates. She was graduated last June 2024. Dina Gandura, she's from Syria. And she used three kinds of inspiration and only artists. Picasso, Marc Chagall, and Matisse. And she did not take any of these artists' work. She got inspired by it. And she designed and created her own artwork, which she then got printed on fabric for her collection. And she also used, for the coat that you see in the middle, the black one, she got it laser cut. So it's a creative, colorful collection, technologically quite innovative. For 2024, I would say, and it's visually pleasing. Because this is what color does,
and it also allows us to revisit iconic modern and contemporary artists such as Picasso, Chagall, and Matisse. Definitely.
Yeah, and I like when designers do that. When they use stories or inspiration, because when the garments are on display, whether they are in museums or worn by anyone, when you look at it, I like, when you say to yourself, oh, it makes me think of something. So the garment sends out a message to you. It's not just, again, functional. It sends out.
It sends out, and it really shows. I mean, when you see such pieces, it really shows that the fashion designer behind it took time to dig into research, to document themselves. Exactly.
Oh yeah, it's an immense.
That there was a whole process.
Immense work. Huh? Yeah, it's an ongoing process. It's a never-ending process. You live with it,
and you should, most specifically, if you want. I believe. If you want, to have a long-term, experience in the business, you always have to renew yourself.
Oh yeah,
and accumulate knowledge about fashion history, art history, for sure. Yeah. So, as a piece of conclusion, when it comes
here,
to
you can see a beautiful dark gray background. I would like to know what it makes you think of.
It's free to to analyze this. You can analyze it however you want. That's the power of art. But basically, as a piece of conclusion, and based on not only obviously this talk and the tremendous work you provided, but most specifically based on your experience, what would be your conclusion when it comes to the theme of this talk, the influence of art and fashion, and when it comes to what you're seeing, because I mean you're obviously seeing things from up here, do you think there's still potential? Do you think that there is an ongoing path with emerging figures right now being fed with artistic content and artistic inspiration?
Oh yes, absolutely. It will not stop. We've seen it. We've seen it literally from starting, not starting exactly, because many have done it a long time back. But we've seen Saint Laurent. But there were designers that were actually doing it way before. It will not stop, and it's taking different directions. Even fashion shows, for example. So this relation between art and fashion. I mean, art is also not only the artwork, but it's also the way it's displayed. Artists, showing themselves when they create art. So you've got movies, you've got performances, and fashion shows nowadays are, we still have the classic ones where you have a runway and models are walking. But fashion shows today are, up there, they are artistic performances. They are performances. If I can mention one, which I suggest that you look at when you go back tonight, you click on YouTube, check the fashion show of Alexander McQueen. All right? Which is called Savage something. That is the one that marked the history of fashion performances and art. Why? Because you will see that there is a platform that comes out from underground with a lady wearing a garment. And before she comes out, everybody wonders in the audience why you have two robots' arms on the stage. What is this? And the woman comes out, she's on the platform, she's wearing a white dress, and the platform starts to turn slowly, and suddenly the robot's arms are activated, and these robots' arms are actually the robots which are used to paint cars in factories, and they start spraying paint on the dress itself. And this is an art performance onto a garment, a unique piece. So performances are there. So art is, and it started there. And then afterwards, all of the major shows became art performances, and it will continue. You see, when we are in the, designing collections one after another is extremely stressful because it's a wheel that never stops. You've completed the design of the next collection. You sent it out, for sampling and to see and waiting, for it to come back. You're already designing the next one. We design between 8 and 15 collections per year. So literally we don't stop. So we kind of are, can be stressed, and we need help. One of my job as a creative director is to help designers as well, open doors to ideas. But a very straightforward, simple idea, which is also a marketing idea and a business idea, is to get inspirations and collaboration from artists outside of the fashion world, which makes you think from a different perspective, like what we did, what we saw with Yu Kusama. But there will be many others. Since it has to go fast, you can also collaborate with artists that will add their touch to accessories of garments which are the basics or the classics of your collection. So what remains a classic will then be seen differently by someone else. If you take the example of Jean-Paul Gaultier today, Jean-Paul Gaultier doesn't design his collections. He's had the most incredible ideas, and that he's done that for the last, I think, 4 years, 3 to 4 years. He is asking other designers which he chooses to design his collections. And you see the most off-the-wall or things seen from a different angle from other designers. So there you also have this kind of, come I see what I do and show me what you could do in a different way. Art is emotion, art is collaboration, and this is what fashion is as well. It's open to anyone that can bring transversal ideas, that can please people, shock people. At the end of the day, art is about that. It's to create emotion.
Exactly.
And fashion as well.
That's what it's all
Yeah.
about. And I think that I mean, I wouldn't have been able, once again, to make such a gripping conclusion, obviously. Denis, I think we're all extremely thankful for having the opportunity to benefit from your insights, and more
Merci.
specifically your expertise. Thank you very much for being here. Once again, thank you very much, you guys, for attending this talk.
Thanks to
we
you
will
for
be-
staying.
It will be pleasure to meet you guys to discuss. If you guys have any questions, remarks. I'm not sure I will be as knowledgeable as Denis in here, but still.
Ask questions about art.
If you ask me about art and curation, I'm here, but forget me about fashion. I'm still very young and humble, even though I was very lucky to be part of this Gianni Versace project in China. Je me fais petit, as we say in French. I'm still very little compared to my colleagues in the project. Thank you very much, you guys. Thank you.
Merci.